What's up, fellow YouTube artists and aspiring artists? It's Mike here with Aerosotle Custom Spray Paint Art. Most of the time on this channel, we paint with posterboard. It's this glossy kind of photo paper with one matte side and one glossy side. And the general consensus is it's pretty hard to find. So I get a ton of questions where you can find this stuff. I also get a ton of questions about if you're allowed to use canvas or if it's possible to use canvas for spray paint art. The answer is yes. Today we're going to compare painting on posterboard and canvas. For today's spray paint art tutorial, we're going to be going over the differences between painting with posterboard and with canvas. I get a ton of questions in the comments and everyone is really stressing about finding the exact right glossy posterboard. If you're curious, this is the brand I use. I buy mine at Walmart here in Canada. Elsewhere in the world, you might have to find different brands at different places, so help out in the comments if you know where to find this stuff worldwide. Today we're going to be using just a little 10 by 8 dollar store canvas. Canvas is interesting. It definitely varies as far as cost as well as quality. These canvases are made from more of like a plaster, so they're not even a true canvas. There are, like I said, lots of various levels of pricey and really nice quality canvases, all the way down to something like this, which you might be able to pick up for like 50 cents. So I want this art to be accessible for everyone, so I use the cheapest stuff today. I got a piece of posterboard cut down to size, also 10 by 8, and I'm just going to make kind of the same painting on either side here and see how it turns out and see what little variances you have to do when you're painting on canvas opposed to posterboard. There are a couple little things, including using a bit more paint when you're painting on canvas. So that's what we're going to go over today. Quick supply list. We have our canvas. We have our posterboard. There's no need for you guys to do both. I'm just comparing what the differences are going to be. So I'm going to paint both, pick one or the other. If you want to do the kind of same image I'm doing in today's painting, I'm going to use a straight edge. This is a drywall tool you could pick up at a hardware store. I'm going to need 2 planets in my paintings, so I'm going to use 2 spray paint caps from some Rust-Oleum spray paint cans. And I have my Rust-Oleum gloss black and gloss white painter's touch. This is pretty much all I use, and this is all we're going to use in today's painting. Additionally, I have a plastic bag and a palette knife. These will also come in different shapes and sizes. If you're just starting out in spray paint art and you need some very basic tips and techniques, make sure to check out the beginner tutorial series where I cover a lot of what I'm going to do here today in a lot more depth. Today's just about comparing what it's like to paint on canvas and posterboard. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and put my planet stencils down so I have an idea of where I want those to be. And I'm just going to go about creating 2 really simple looking moons. Right off the bat, you'll see after about 3 sprays how much different the black coverage is on the posterboard versus the canvas. Up close, you're really going to see how much that paint just absorbs into the canvas. And although it does still have a glossy finish, you're going to need a lot more paint to get the same effect. So you don't want to just hammer it on and spray directly at it. You want little bursts just filling in that texture of the canvas. You'll know you're getting close when it does just look like a nice flat glossy surface like that. I think we're going to leave it just like that. And I'm going to do just a touch more on this one. I do want them to be about the same height. So we're going to come in with some white, just a little bit over top of each. One thing I do see here, because the black paint on the canvas is kind of seeping in and setting a little quicker, the white is holding up a lot better. Over here you can see a lot of the black coming through almost the enamel, and that's okay because we're going to texturize it, but this is holding up quite a bit better. So we're going to go first in with a clean part of the bag. lay this down like we do throughout the beginner tutorial series and peel it back. We're gonna flip the side, so we're using a fresh side. And we're gonna do the same here on our canvas. So fairly similar result. I'd say the white looks a little bit more white, a little bit of a darker vibe here. We're gonna do another pass with a clean section of the bag on each of these just to try to brighten them up and pull out some of that black. And a second pass here on this one. So they're both pretty dark. I'm gonna go over, now that we've pulled a lot of that black out, I'm gonna go in with some more white here with another plastic bag. I'm gonna let this just sit here for a quick little second, probably about 10, 15 seconds. Let it dry just a little bit. And I'm gonna go in one more time and see if we can get a bit of a better result. That's a bit better. Similar overall look to these two. There's definitely some variance in how the plastic bag interacts with the canvas versus the poster board, but so far, so good. From here, we're gonna shade both of these. So I think we're gonna go for just the bottom side here of each of these. It will kind of take out the brightest spot of this one, but that's okay. Just a little bit of black. And that's gonna do there as well. Typically, I'd recommend letting this dry. I'm gonna just proceed on and go ahead and put my planet stencils down. Getting some of that shadow and some of the bright side of the planet in there, kind of in the same location in my paintings. From here, we're gonna just go in and do a bit of a sky. So starting with my poster board, little bursts, getting just the base coverage I can with the black, no pooling. And pretty easy, knowing right away I have edges on my canvas. For a finished look, I really want to make sure that those are taken care of. So I'm going to go around the entire canvas at this stage. The bottom here, I'm really going to be careful not to get too much black. And I didn't do a very good job. That's not going to matter too much. There we go, just getting those edges nice and finished. Then I'm gonna go in, and you're really watching as you're painting it to kind of watch the texture of the canvas disappear and fill in with spray paint. You don't want pooling, but you do want a uniform layer of untextured kind of canvas. So that's gonna do for both of those too. I'm gonna just add a little bit more black on this one in a couple spots. I'm gonna go and do a little bit of nighttime stars for each. So now we've let these dry just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and pull off our planet stencils. Now, big takeaway pulling these off, and it's going to be really hard to see on camera. The canvas definitely has a bit of a ring around the edge of the planet. That's going to be caused by the edge of the planet stencil pulling off some of this paint down here. That's totally okay, especially for what we're going to do with this painting today. There's a slight bit of it on this poster board version, but ever so slightly. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd almost say this planet looks a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more alive, and a little bit more, realistic even than this one, but it's really negligible. They're really close together. So what I'm going to do for these two pieces, I'm going to add just a little bit of a mountain range along the edge here. And to do that, I'm going to lay down some black Rust-Oleum. Just a fresher layer of black. I'm going to cut over the planet just a little bit and up the other side. Doing so for both of my paintings. Now here, I'm going to just kind of streak across. So with my list at the start of this video, I definitely recommend a few shopping bags because I'm going through a couple of them in this painting. I'm going to go ahead now with the same kind of technique. Again, you can learn all about how to do this in the beginner tutorial series, but I'm just going to make a little bit of mountain ranges here in this painting. So just gently coming across like so. Again, with a clean part of my bag, come across here. Once again, on this other side, I'm going to go ahead and create another mountain. And same thing here on the other side. So as we're working along here, we're seeing our canvas on this side, poster board on this side, a couple of variances in the composition. One thing I will say is the paint is seeming to react a lot better on the canvas when it comes to whites and blacks and having stuff bleed through. This all looks pretty crisp and nice, and there's a couple little areas of this one where maybe the black and the white spray paint aren't agreeing with each other too much. Easy cure for that, if you're painting mainly on poster board, just let it dry a little more than you think you should before you apply the white, and just playing around with drying times and being a little more patient. One thing I know affects things a lot between poster board and canvas is if you're etching in some highlights into the mountains, you're gonna get a different effect on this and this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I usually wouldn't put too much in, but I'm gonna do it mainly just for the exercise of this video, so you can see the difference in the way they look. To make my life easier, if the paint's drying too fast, I might use some clear coat. I'm gonna just spray it over top where I want to work, and that is really going to make a difference in being able to move the paint around a little bit more. So I'm just gonna play around with this. You guys can kind of watch along and see the differences between the right side and the left side of the painting. Canvas over here, and we have poster board on this side. Right off the bat, I'm gonna need just a tiny bit of clear coat. And I'm just gonna work some of the natural highlights of our little mountain range we've made up. Just scraping some of my paint off in between. Varying the pressure of my palette knife is really going to help shape things along a little bit. And that's really it. We're just adding a little bit of definition to some of the areas of the mountain. Once again, not fully necessary. I'm just going to move that one out of the way ever so slightly. And now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. I know I'll need a bit of clear coat, so I'm going to go ahead and spray some of that down. And you're going to see, oh, maybe I don't need clear coat. Might let this dry for just a second, but no, this is workable. So you're going to see, you almost see some of the mesh texture coming through on some of those highlights. So you definitely don't have that nice kind of flowing controlled line you do with the poster board. That being said, I think this piece is a little too, the paint's a little too moist. I probably shouldn't have sprayed my clear coat down, but we're just going to work it in a similar way. Try to play around just a little bit. So we see how things are coming along. If you guys already have a favorite, leave a comment down below. Definitely do have a bit of a different look. This one's kind of keeping that dark black look a lot. This one's, you know, maybe a little bit cleaner as far as some of the misty effects. I'm liking both of them. So again, if you don't have poster board available in your area, I'm sure you can pick up a canvas. You can even paint over an already painted canvas if you want. I can probably cover that if there's some interest in a future video. So we're gonna hammer on here and go ahead with our waterline. So we're gonna go ahead and put down our straight edge as straight as possible. I'm gonna move this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm gonna put that straight edge down. I don't know how even that is. That's about good. So with this straight edge still on here, we're gonna go ahead and streak our hand across. It's pretty much one motion even. And we'll call that good. That's a nice little water line. And we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing here. With our canvas version. The whole time with the canvas, I am needing to put, you know, more paint. So keep that in mind as you go across here. Again, we're gonna go ahead and streak across with the canvas. I'm actually gonna go ahead and have to work it a little bit more friction between the paint and the canvas than there is with the poster board. That glossy poster board is really nice. Here we go, we'll pull that off there. So now that I've stacked them side by side, once again, I'm kind of looking at my water on the poster board side. I spent a bit more time with this one. I think it looks a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and just touch up my water just to give it a fair comparison at the end. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay that straight edge back down. I'm gonna come in with a little bit more white, especially getting this bottom corner because I didn't really touch that at all. And let's go ahead Just work that one more time. All right, a little bit better. Not that it was terrible before, but I just wanted to have a similar look between the two pieces. So there we have it. Spray paint art, as we know it, always done on poster board, very easily done on canvas as well. Main takeaways, you will use a bit more paint. It's not a ton more. And you do need to vary a few different techniques. Paint's going to behave a little bit differently between this and the poster board, but the moral of the story is if you want to try this art form, you don't need much. You need a little piece of glossy photo paper or poster board painted on the glossy side. You need a little canvas, even a recycled canvas, some spray paint. We did today's tutorial with only 2 cans, some shopping bags, which you're probably going to get anyway from picking up the spray paint, picking up some canvas. The straight edge can be substituted by lots of different things. Even this palette knife, I mean, I'm sure you guys can get creative and come up with something to etch a few highlights in. This part is not even really needed for today's tutorial. It can be super easy to get started. If you don't have access to poster board and you've been seeking it out and that's been what's holding you back, hey, no time like the present. Go ahead, pick up a canvas, get started. I hope you guys like the video. Again, if you're new, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate a like, and share in the comments which of these you prefer more. I think they're both pretty awesome, to be honest. I do think I kind of like the canvas a little bit more. In my personal experience, I have found whenever I've used a canvas, there's a little bit more in the line, so I tend to take the painting a little bit more seriously, take my time a little bit more, and be more focused on kind of a perfect result. So I will say there's a psychological benefit once in a while to using canvas. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you again soon in a future spray paint art tutorial.